Welcome to Midnight Signal AI. It's March 22nd, 2026. I'm Alex, here with Jamie, and we're bringing you the top AI news from the last 24 hours. Today, are coders obsolete in the age of AI? We'll talk about a provocative essay making waves, plus the ongoing crisis in game development jobs, why some warn that AI models are turning into commodities, the latest on China's humanoid robots, and more. Jamie, want to kick us off with our lead story?
Absolutely. Our top story comes from Hacker News and Anil Dash's essay, What Do Coders Do After AI? It's stirring up debate about the future of programming as AI tools get closer to automating most coding tasks. Dash explores the idea that with AI able to write functional code from high-level prompts, the traditional skill set of a coder could become less central. Instead, he suggests value might shift to areas like product vision, ethics, and integrating human needs into software.
That's a big shift. For decades, coding has been the core of tech work. Now, if AI handles the syntax and logic, what's left for humans? Dash argues that context, understanding what should be built and why, gets more important. It's a bit like the move from handcrafting to industrial design. The technical barrier drops, but taste and judgment matter more.
Exactly. And it's not just about vision. There's also a growing need for people who can bridge AI outputs and real-world requirements, especially around ethics, accessibility, and inclusiveness. The comments on Hacker News are sparse so far, but I expect this to spark big conversations about how students and professionals prepare for the changing landscape.
And this is already being felt in adjacent fields. For example, let's look at the game development world, which is currently facing its own AI-driven upheaval. According to a widely read post on Hacker News, there's an open-to-work crisis as AI tools disrupt traditional game dev roles. This one's from Darko Unity.
Right. The post details how automation and generative AI have led to layoffs and a much tougher job market. Artists and programmers are feeling the squeeze, with studios relying more on AI to generate assets or even code game logic. It's a real-time example of what Dash was talking about. The day-to-day work is changing fast, and not always in ways that leave room for everyone.
And it's fueling anxiety, not just about job loss, but about the nature of creative work itself. If AI can quickly churn out levels, characters, or dialogue, what's the unique human contribution? The crisis is pushing devs to rethink their roles, and in some cases, reskill toward areas that can't be so easily automated.
Speaking of automation and commoditization, CNBC ran a story about OpenClaw's so-called ChatGPT moment. The article points out that as open source and commercial AI models proliferate, there's a growing sense that these tools are becoming interchangeable commodities. The worry is that just like cloud storage or web hosting, AI models might soon compete mainly on price and availability, not unique capabilities.
That could have huge implications. If AI models are seen as generic utilities, a lot of the power shifts from model builders to those who own the data, distribution, or user interfaces. It also means the barriers to entry for new AI-powered products are lower, but so are the margins and competitive advantages. We might see a race to the bottom on cost and a new focus on value-added services.
It's a classic technology cycle. What starts as a breakthrough becomes infrastructure. And as that happens, the strategic questions shift. Companies may need to differentiate more on integration, workflow, or user experience rather than raw model performance.
Let's turn to international developments. The Financial Times published a deep dive on China's push to train humanoid robots with advanced AI. Chinese labs are investing heavily in robotics, aiming to create machines that can perform complex, human-like tasks. The article describes how they're leveraging the latest AI advances to give robots better perception, planning, and adaptability.
This is significant for a couple reasons. First, it's a signal that China sees AI-driven robotics as strategically important, not just for manufacturing, but for services, logistics, even elder care. Second, they're not just copying Western approaches. Chinese labs are experimenting with new architectures and training methods, hoping to leapfrog in areas like dexterity or real-world reasoning. The global race for robotic intelligence is heating up.
And it's a reminder that while a lot of AI talk is about software, the impact on the physical world, robots, drones, automation, is going to be just as transformative. The FTP suggests we could see a new wave of robot deployments in the next few years, with big geopolitical and economic implications.
Switching gears to some technical research, let's talk about a study from arXiv called Dissociating Direct Access from Inference in AI Introspection. It digs into how AI models understand, or fail to understand, their own internal states. The researchers explored whether models can directly access information about their own learning, or if they're just inferring it from patterns.
That sounds abstract, but it matters for safety and transparency. If we want AI to explain its decisions, or to know when it's making a guess versus recalling a fact, we need to understand the limits of AI introspection. The study finds that in many cases, models are better at inference than direct access, which raises questions about how much we can really trust AI self-reports.
On a related note, Orson AI published findings showing that AI models often know they're guessing even before they generate text. Their research suggests that internally, these systems have signals indicating uncertainty, but those signals aren't always communicated to users. This could be useful for designing better guardrails or user warnings. It's a big deal for fields like law, medicine, or finance. Anywhere you want to know when the AI is confident versus when it's just making things up. There's still a lot of work to do to make these internal signals transparent and actionable. Let's move to academia. Nature published an article on the relationship between AI and PhD students, friend or foe. The piece covers the double-edged sword of AI tools in research. On one hand, they can automate tedious tasks, accelerate data analysis, and help with writing. On the other, there's concern about over-reliance and the risk that students lose core skills.
It's a tension we see in a lot of fields. PhD students are often under pressure to publish and produce results quickly. AI can help, but it can also mask gaps in understanding or create new forms of academic dishonesty. The article calls for clearer guidelines and more training on ethical AI use in research.
And speaking of writing, NBC News reports on a study that found AI-generated writing tends to be more bland than human-authored text. The researchers looked at essays and creative pieces written with and without AI assistance. Their finding? AI often irons out quirks in unique voice, leading to more generic output.
That's not surprising, given that AI models are trained to predict average word sequences. It's a reminder that while AI can boost productivity, there's still a premium on human creativity, the idiosyncrasies that make writing memorable. For now, at least, there's a role for humans in keeping things interesting.
Before we wrap, let's touch on a story from the cradle. The U.S. military is reportedly embedding Palantir AI across its operations. That's a major milestone for AI in defense. Palantir systems are being integrated for analysis, logistics, and battlefield decision-making.
It's a sign of how seriously militaries are taking AI as a force multiplier, but it also raises big questions about oversight, accountability, and the risk of over-reliance on automated systems in critical situations. This will be a space to watch closely in the coming months.
So, to sum up, whether you're a coder, a game dev, a researcher, or just someone watching the tech world evolve, AI is changing the rules of the game. It's creating new opportunities, but also new risks and tough questions. We'll keep tracking it all for you, every day.
This has been your Midnight Signal. See you in 24 hours.